Hello everyone, I had a friend ask me how I do my shading, so in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys how I do my shading using this piece, which is about almost 2 years old now. So first, what I'm going to show you how to do is shading, because in order to understand how to do lighting, understanding how to do shading normally helps a lot. So I'm just going to take a random color with a random shape. Yes, a circle, very generic, I know. We're going to take a random color, and then we're going to alpha lock that. Now that's very important. I like to do my layers on a clipping mask, and then I'll take the pen fade tool and slowly decrease, add darkness to the color I am using, and follow the shape that I'm making. This is also the time I like to mark out where my lighting is going to be coming from, or what kind of source it's going to be. For here, it's coming from the corner, not very intense or bright. And now we're just going to slowly darken the color while following the shape. And then this is also where I like to play around with the opacity and the size and kind of try to blend the colors together. You can also do this using the smudge or blur tool. I like to use the pen fade tool. And then that's basically your shade. I like to take 2 to 3 colors, and then I'll go in with a lighter color for where the light is hitting and put it directly where the light will be hitting my shape or object. Now again, like I said, you can use the blur or fade tool, whatever you prefer, but I like, for the purpose of this style, just to leave it how it is. Now that we kind of understand how to do shading, let's move on to the lighting and shading. Now I like to take a darker blue or purple and kind of put it where I want the shadows to be on the shape, making sure it doesn't come up as far as I would like. I will set that to multiply and then take that same kind of brush and with the opacity and do the same fading. Don't be scared to have to adjust the shadow. You're gonna have to at some point. And then I normally don't blur or blend the base colors, but I will with the shadows. So you see me going in with Gaussian blur and basically blending that color. And now you can also adjust the color or opacity of the shadow you are using. And now for lighting, we're going to do the same thing, but on a different layer. And we're going to take a lighter version of that color or whatever the light source is we are using. And then again, I will Gaussian blur the light where the light source is hitting. And then I will go in and change this to overlay, and I will also again change the opacity of the layer. Now we are going to do the lighting of the actual piece. I like to take the opacity or whatever general area. I normally have a base layer, and I will magic lasso or whatever IBS, you can select opacity, I will do that. Then I will go create a new layer. For the shadows, I'm just going to be taking the dark color of the pants and putting that all over the figure that I am using to do the shading. You're going to want to make sure that this is nice and dark. And then we're going to go through and we're going to erase where we want the light to hit. I did also forget to mark where I want my lighting to be, so we will add that now. Now, depending on what kind of lighting you are doing, you can add more than one arrow to show what direction it is going in. Now we're going to go back to that layer and erase where we want the light to be hitting. Now please keep in mind what intensity you are doing for the lighting, because it's not going to illuminate the face in this case because of the hat. So you also want to be aware of any other object you have. So as you can see, I marked out kind of the shadow the hat is going to be putting on the face, and then started working on the arm. Now as you get lower down to where the lighting is not hitting as much, you're going to slowly decrease the size of that light that is hitting. And you are also going to want to follow any curves or ridges that your shape or object has. Sometimes lowering the opacity can help with this. And then right where that hat cuts off the lighting and the shading, I did a straight line. And for the hat, since the light is coming at an angle, it's not going to be fully illuminating the top. And then again, you kind of just want to follow the general curves and, I guess, physics of how lights work. And since the light is also at an angle, it is going to be hitting the hand in the back. So we're going to add a little bit of lighting there. Now, as I'm going back and doing this voiceover, I realized I could have added a little bit of shading on that shoulder and that arm, but also right here, what I'm circling is kind of any objects you have that might change how the light works. You want to figure out how that works. Right here, there's a slight gap between the whip and the arm, allowing for a little bit of light to come through. And again, you can change the opacity before or after you blend it. Here I did it before, and then we are going to use the Gaussian blur and kind of smooth out that lighting. If you like the rough lighting, you can use the rough lighting. I normally do. Now we're going to make a new layer, and we're going to do the light. Now please keep your lasso or whatever you're using. Go in, select whatever color you would like the lighting to be, and now we're going to basically follow what we erased. It doesn't have to be perfectly inside, it can be a rough shape, rough outline, does not matter because you're going to go in and use Gaussian blur again. And then once you are done, you can go in and Gaussian blend whatever you want with the lighting. Now, you also want to go in and make sure the layer is set to overlay, otherwise this might not work. Sometimes you can use soft light or hard light, any kind of that. I normally use overlay though. You can also adjust the color or whatever you would like at this step. Now I'm going to be showing you a different kind of lighting. It still uses the same mechanics and whatnot as the other one. As you can see, the yellow line is indicating where the light is going to be hitting. It's going to be going across the eyes and part of the hand and upper arm. So following basically the same steps we just did, we're going to do that and make sure to follow the curves of the object. As you can see, we are starting with our shadow, and we're going to ignore that weed because we don't really care for the purpose of this video. Now don't be afraid to not get it exactly how you would like it first try. It is okay to try again and again. Lighting is very hard to do, I understand that, and it took me years to figure out how to do lighting. Now this is where I'm going to go in very sloppily with the color I would like to use as the lighting. This doesn't really matter, because again, we're just going to Gaussian blur it. Now please keep in mind, these lighting techniques do not work very well with this piece because of how I did the shading, but in terms of this video, they serve their purpose, and I really do hope this helps somebody, and I do not mind doing an in-depth video on how to do shading on a different level. Just please let me know in the comments what you would like. I don't really have an outro yet, but thank you all for watching. Here are all my social medias if you want to go follow me. I do also have a Discord that I will link in the description below. Along with all my other social medias, I have way more than what is shown. I really hope you all enjoyed and that this helped at least someone. Please let me know if you have any ideas for tutorials or what I could do in the future in the comments below. Thank you all for watching again, love all of you, and I will see you in the next one.